Twitter is the Wild West. It's literally an active war zone 24/7, and that has been felt many times in the wrestling industry on wrestling Twitter. It's probably the worst community on Twitter. Wrestlers versus wrestlers, wrestlers versus fans, versus journalists, versus non-wrestling fans, and there have been times where a wrestler's tweets have came into play and ended up actually affecting their career. And today we're going to be talking about a couple of those times that has happened, and people whose careers ended because of tweets. Before we get into it though, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll give you until the 3 count.
Rachel Rose hooks the leg. There it is.
I hope you beat the count, and let's get into the video. Chad Lale began wrestling in 2006, but made his first big break in 2010 when he debuted and signed with TNA Wrestling under the name of Gunner. And let me tell you that Hulk Hogan absolutely loved Gunner in TNA and was a guy that was pushed quite well under Hulk Hogan. He became a member of the Immortal faction, which were the biggest thing in TNA at the time, their own NWO, and thus was on TV near enough every single week. He was wrestling on pay-per-view, having tag title shots. He had been pushed very quickly in TNA, and it all came to a head on the March 17th edition of Impact when he defeated Murphy and Rob Terry in a 3-way match to win the vacant TNA Television Championship. Yeah, like I said, Gunner was getting pushed like absolute mad. He even pinned the world champion Sting in a tag team match on Impact, which is just absolutely ridiculous. He even made it to the final of the Bound for Glory series, and even later on to his career in TNA in 2013 and 2014, he was getting pushed still. He won the TNA tag titles with James Storm. But the second Hogan left the company in 2013, it was kind of curtains for Gunner in TNA, and he kind of very much just fell down the card before he departed in 2015, not really doing much, being pretty much relegated to Explosion and mainly just being a bit of a jobber. It was all good though, because in 2017 he would sign for the WWE and form the Forgotten Sons, a tag team or a trio in NXT, himself, Wesley Blake and Steve Cutler. And his ring name was changed to Jackson Riker, and he was presented as the muscle of the Forgotten Sons. They didn't really do much in NXT, they had tag title shots here and there, but the Undisputed Era already existed on NXT at the time, so they were already the second best trio in the company, and they were never really presented as anything past mid-card in NXT, but they were called up to the main roster on the April 10th, 2020 episode of SmackDown. They made a couple appearances on SmackDown, they even got a win, pinning the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, The New Day, on SmackDown, and it led to them having a match at Money in the Bank that year, a 4-way tag team title match, which they did lose. So the Forgotten Sons were doing pretty alright for themselves. But then, Jackson Riker got on Twitter. On June 2nd, 2020, Jackson Riker tweeted out saying, "Thankful for the president we have. God bless America. Built of freedom. Forgotten no more." This did not get a great response from other wrestlers in the WWE locker room, with Mustafa Ali responding, "I'm thankful you posted this because I'm now aware of what you stand for. When black brothers and sisters are crying, you praise someone that refuses to acknowledge their hurt." Sami Zayn responded saying, "Literally built on oppression." Ricochet responded saying, "I get you're a bad guy on TV and I'm hoping that's all this is. Even then, that ain't it. But if this is actually your true thoughts, I'll be really sad, man." And Kevin Owens very infamously responded saying, "The freedom you speak of entitles you to speak your mind all you want. I'm not here to argue that. I just really need to tell you that I think you pushing your shitty wrestling catchphrase as all of this is happening is absolutely fucking pathetic. Good night." Following this, Jackson Riker had extreme heat backstage and the Forgotten Sons were taking off TV. But it was actually Blake and Cutler that ended up getting released in WWE's COVID budget cut releases, while Jackson Riker kept his job in the WWE, which was, obviously I'm not advocating for him to lose his job, but I don't get why Blake and Cutler were punished. He ended up appearing as Elias's muscle and even turned on him and began a babyface singles run. I don't know what WWE were thinking. However, Jackson Riker was relegated to main event and became a mainstay there before he was released from his WWE contract on November 18th, 2021. He has since returned to the indie scene using the name Gunner, where he wrestles occasionally. Ryback's first appearances with the WWE were when he was part of the $1 million Tough Enough from 2004 to 2005. However, he did not win the show, but he would be signed to WWE anyway under a developmental contract, and eventually would make his way to TV in 2010 when he competed on season 1 of NXT, back when it was that weird game show thing, as Skip Sheffield alongside other contestants such as Wade Barrett, David Otunga, Justin Gabriel, and of course that indie geek that went 0-8, Daniel Bryan. He finished 6th on the show, but he would debut with the Nexus on the June 7th episode of WWE Raw when they beat up John Cena and CM Punk and destroyed the entire ringside area, and Daniel Bryan choked out Justin Roberts with his tie. He was of course a part of the 7 vs 7 Nexus vs Team WWE SummerSlam match, where the Nexus obviously got absolutely buried and their push completely killed off. And in August of that year as well, Ryback broke his ankle during a match, forcing him to undergo 3 surgeries, keeping him out of wrestling for a year and effectively kicking him out of the Nexus group, which was definitely for the better for him. This actually greatly benefited his career because he would return on the April 6, 2012 episode of WWE SmackDown under the new ring name of Ryback, coming in as a fan favorite babyface who would just beat people up backstage and then just destroy them in the ring and would just start squashing people. He went on a 38 match win streak where he was beating jobbers on the roster themselves, and beating the lower card guys, sometimes even in handicap matches. He was being booked to look very strong, and he would earn a championship match against CM Punk at Hell in a Cell 2012 for the WWE Championship, where he was red hot going into it. I don't want any revisionist history on Ryback. Him going into that match with CM Punk, he was red hot, and he probably could have easily won the title there, and people would have been happy. I'm not going to let revisionist history change that, because that's true. Obviously though, he didn't win it, but he would remain in the main event for a bit longer. He even made it to the final 2 of the Royal Rumble, but then he lost to Mark Henry at WrestleMania 29 at 2013. Who knows what WWE was even doing at this point. His last big thing he did before he fell off the card was being a part of Paul Heyman and CM Punk's feud, where he was a Paul Heyman guy, and they rematched at Hell in a Cell 2013, where he did of course lose, but he would fall down the card a bit after this. Him and Curtis Axel formed the team. Remember Rybaxel? Yes, that was a real thing. Ryback would get a little resurgence of a singles push though, as at Elimination Chamber 2015, he won the vacant Intercontinental Championship, his first title win in WWE, in that absolutely awful chamber match. Oh my god, don't even get me started on that chamber match. He would lose the title only a couple months later though to Kevin Owens. He did get one defense at SummerSlam though, when he beat The Miz and Big Show in a triple threat match to retain the title. He would turn heel in 2016, debuting a new look, now not wearing a singlet anymore and sporting black trunks, just completely going full Goldberg, and again he turned heel and was being a dominant monster again, but didn't really seem to work. He had a match on the pre-show of WrestleMania 32 for the US Championship against Kalisto, which he lost, and they had a match again at Payback for it, which he also lost. On May 2nd though, it was reported that Ryback had been sent home by the WWE due to a contract dispute and due to him not participating in a Battle Royal match that he was scheduled for. He went onto his Tumblr page, yes, we're talking Tumblr era, where he said that he made the decision to go home. He cited a lack of equal pay for talent and creative frustration as primary reasons for his departure. He would be off TV during this, and he was officially released from the company on August 8th, 2016, 3 months later. And since then, Ryback has done a whole slew of things. He very infamously started charging a lot for independent appearances, where he actually amassed an undefeated streak on the independent circuit in August 2017, but he has not actually wrestled since August 2018. He's been out of wrestling for 5 years now, and I mean, I guess he's retired because, well, the fans voted on him to be retired. Ryback running his mouth on Twitter and his podcast has absolutely killed his career and killed any excitement for people that may or may not have wanted to see him come back. Things like the CM Punk controversy, when CM Punk just buried him in the Art of Wrestling podcast, wishing death on Vince McMahon, and of course his polls where he asked his fans where he should return to: WWE, TNA, AEW, or retire. Retire won every single time. Even after he blocks the trolls and negative accounts, Retire won every time. And fans and even wrestlers alike make sure to let Ryback know every single time. 2,000 likes and I'll retire.